Hi Merciful's, my name is Elina. I'm an artist, a researcher and an entrepreneur. Happy New Year! This video is a long-promised talk and I think it fits perfectly for the New Year's theme. It's on time management. We all want to be more effective, more productive, more efficient, more creative, better in all the ways during the new year and of course all the subsequent years, and we always write that as one of our New Year's resolutions. I do, at least, and I hope you do too. In this video I would like to focus on a very crucial subject for creatives, for artists. How do we balance between the artistic aspect and the pragmatic, the admin aspect of our work, especially for those who manage your own careers? Let's look at 4 very popular time management systems, and I will tell you what works for me and what doesn't. And perhaps you can relate to some of those things, or maybe not. First of all, I want to point out that I'm not going to talk about documenting your time management technique. I am just going to discuss the process that is proposed to be implemented and why it doesn't work for me, and how I blended several techniques perhaps in a way, and I created my own approach that works for me so far, and I still want to perfect it. I want to improve it, and if you're interested, you're welcome to join me and share your own progress during this year. So the first one is the Pomodoro Technique. You are probably familiar with it. This technique uses a timer in order to break the working segments into 25 minutes and then implement a 5-minute break. I will tell you why it doesn't work for me, because all the time when I set a timer, I realize that when the timer rings, I am almost done with the segment of a work I'm currently doing, whether I'm doing photography or editing or practicing piano or maybe writing a project description or a grant application or reading a scientific article, one of these things. But I realized that I'm almost at the end of a segment, but not quite, and I need maybe to finish one more page or do another proofread or something like that. And it's kind of always a little bit not enough, and it can be 5 minutes not enough, or maybe 15 minutes not enough. But then after I take a break, it doesn't really make much sense for me to come back and focus on only that little left over. So I skip the timer and I work more, and then I take a break later, and the break might be longer than the 5 minutes. So the whole concept kind of breaks down for me, and I can never predict how much time I would need exactly minute by minute. Maybe it's 40 minutes, maybe it would be 45 minutes, sometimes maybe it would be an hour, and I will just take a longer break. So I know I'm not perfectly implementing this technique, but I couldn't find a way for myself that would work. The second time management technique is the Eisenhower's matrix on importance versus urgency. So you draw 2 arrows, important and urgent, and you write in the squares what's less important and not urgent, and what's less important but urgent, and then what's more important but less urgent, and the most important, most urgent things. For me, somehow it doesn't work at all, because probably my brain thinks backwards in a way. If I do this, I will suddenly find myself doing the non-important and non-urgent things that Eisenhower suggests to actually cross out, because you will never need them in your life, you will never get to them, and they don't matter so much. But my mind works in a strange way, and somehow it tends to do the opposite. So I realized that it doesn't make much sense for me, because I will probably postpone the most important and urgent tasks unless my life depends on it. For example, applying for a visa, otherwise I'll get kicked out. You get the idea. The next technique is time blocking. What does it mean? You count up all the hours. We have 24 hours still, unfortunately. So you count them up, and of course you count up how much you need to sleep and how much you need to get ready in the morning and things like that. And then you count all the hours that are left and subdivide them into the working tasks and into the breaks, into the relaxing time, and plan every single hour of your day. For example, you will focus on your creative practice for, let's say, an X amount of hours, and then you will focus on the administrative tasks for another amount of hours, and then maybe on some research, and maybe then you'll go for a walk, and how many minutes you will have inside those blocks to take breaks, to have a coffee or check your Instagram, whatnot. Somehow I tend to overschedule all the time, and I have to always keep in mind that I have to kind of underschedule about 25-40% or add more time than I think I will need for most of my tasks. Let me know if you tried this, if it worked for you. It's kind of building these bricks out of your day, and every brick is actually the exact activity and the exact amount of minutes or hours that you will practice this activity. I wonder if it worked for any of you, if anyone has tried. I made a really good matrix, but somehow I never started implementing it. Maybe I will during the new year. In case I start and it's successful, I will make a video about it, I promise. And the next one is the GDD method, getting things done. This method suggests breaking all your tasks into subtasks and kind of checking them off as you progress. However, I think that it's really useful for very big tasks, for something large. For example, a big creative project you are working on and you need to complete a lot of administrative tasks, and you have to do fundraising and you have to do marketing and all these things, or you are doing a master's program or you're doing a PhD or whatever, something that is really huge that might require several years to complete. Of course, you have to break them into subtasks and what has to be done this year, this quarter, this month, this week, and so on. But for something like making a video, for example, I never subtask this, because if I will write, I have to write a script, I have to set the light, I have to, I don't know, wash my hair. Actually, I have to wash my hair, and I have to film, and then I have to edit, and then I have to publish and share. It's already 7 tasks now, and there are more. I probably will never even get to that, because this process will seem like it's actually bigger than it is. And if I just make a video, I will probably do it sooner than breaking it into a bunch of subsequent tasks. Plus, I will tend to take breaks between those tasks. I know myself. And then after a task number, 5, I will feel like I have accomplished 5 tasks already. Why wouldn't I just go take a break and feel good about myself? But the video is still not ready. So it means that even 99% done is still not done. For example, if it's not published, it's not done yet. Nobody's gonna see it. So you know what I mean? There has to be a balance. It doesn't work for all the tasks, at least for me. So for big projects, yes, if I'm doing something that is 3 years long, 5 years long, what I'm working on right now. If I'm working on something that is gonna take me maybe half a day, probably not. Now, I will tell you about a system that actually does work for me. After many years of managing my schedule in a strange way, at least not in a way where I would be able to clearly track my progress, I took a PhD workshop on time management by Daniel Friedrich this past summer, and he actually introduced the S.M.A.R.T technique to the group. So what does the S.M.A.R.T technique stand for? It is an abbreviation of S, specific, simple, sensible, significant; M, measurable, meaningful, motivating; A, achievable, agreed, attainable; R, relevant, reasonable, realistic, resource-based; and T, time-bound, time-sensitive, timely, time cost limited. In other words, these are quantifiable concepts. What does it mean? Is that you clearly set each goal and how much of it you want to accomplish during a certain time period. For me, it was crucial to kind of put that concept into my mind. For example, if you're gonna tell yourself, I want to learn French, the question is, how well do you want to learn it and how soon do you want to achieve this goal? If you want to learn French well enough to order a coffee or chat about the weather, it's one thing, and you need a certain amount of time. But if you want to actually maybe defend your dissertation in this language, you will need a completely different amount of time and a completely different plan, perhaps, especially at later stages, in order to tackle this goal. I never made clear goals like this. I would just say, I want to learn French, period. And it took me about 10 years to actually learn French because I took many years of breaks in between and I forgot half of what I knew, and then I didn't have any practice, and then I ended up living in Paris for 3 months and I couldn't talk because it was not one of my priorities during the previous years. So my goals were not clear and I didn't know how to work with them. But when we prioritize something, we have to have a clear path in front of ourselves. How are we going to work exactly? How much are we going to achieve every time we work on this? So A, it's important to, yes, to set your priority, and B, it's important to set a plan and quantifiable goals of how much you will do in a certain limited time period. And another important point is that we have to hold ourselves accountable of our achievements, because very often we're just not happy. I was always unhappy with myself. I would say I still cannot talk, or I still cannot write, or I didn't understand something, but I never was happy about what I actually could do, because I actually did complete a certain part on grammar or stuff like that. I was always unhappy and it didn't motivate me sometimes to make progress because I felt like I'm not going anywhere. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. Right below in the comments. The next part is being flexible. I always tend to overload myself. I write more than I can accomplish, and it doesn't seem that much, but of course we all have a lot of things to take care of, and not only the working things, but also we have to do some housekeeping, which I forget. I never put it in my schedule somehow, but of course we have to be very careful with our time. And I always felt really bad about rewriting things for the next time period, next week or next month, and I felt like I didn't accomplish anything. Although of course a lot of tasks were crossed out, but I didn't notice those, and I thought, oh, there's still so much to rewrite. I wasn't flexible with myself. I was beating myself up. Now, if I don't accomplish something when I wanted to, I don't go crazy about it. I just rewrite it, I just reschedule it, and that's it. I'm happy with my life. So now, how do I actually plan? I subdivided all my working projects, everything that is work in progress, into categories. I have several big projects I am concentrating on. They're completely different. They have nothing to do with each other, mostly. And I plan for about 4 months in advance what exact goals I want to achieve during the next 4 months, let's say. Then I break them into weekly tasks. So for example, if I want to learn a new piece of music and I want to have it performance ready in 3 months, let's say, I will have a deadline for myself to play it through for the first time. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but I have to get through the piece without stopping. Then I will set a deadline of memorizing the piece, things like that. So before, I always worked, I just will practice and whatever happens. Now I try to structure my practice in a way that I know that I'm running okay, I'm not running out of time, and I will have the piece memorized by a certain date. or I want to create several photography works and I made sketches and I made plans and I bought the props and I need to complete an X number of works in a certain time period. And I give myself flexible time periods now. It's not like I have to create 10 works in one day. No, I don't do that anymore. I don't see a point to run, actually. Maybe it's the 2020 that changed me so much. But at this point, I feel that I want to breathe and I want to focus on quality rather than on quantity. If I need more time even to relax between my working sessions, I don't beat myself up about it anymore. Otherwise, it's a constant sprint and it's too much for me. It may be different for you, let me know. So I learned many lessons about overestimating my abilities. That's why when I do my weekly plans, I try to make them look easy. I don't put all the tasks I want to accomplish during this week. No. And even when I put the easy version, because then it will still be the hard version anyway, but I already have it in the back of my mind that I probably will not even get to one of the tasks at all. And I know about it. So it's not like I write one too much. I write something that I know I should be able to accomplish, and I know for sure that one will be left out somehow. Referencing to the Coco Chanel's quote about the jewelry. When you put your jewelry on, then take one piece off, and then it will be just enough. Now, how to switch between the artistic, the creative, and the admin, pragmatic, accounting work. I have got a tip from someone. Go for walks, especially if you're going from the admin to the creative, because it will kind of revamp your mind, and it does help. 15-minute, 20-minute walks, they are amazing because they refresh your brain. They give you a chance to reboot, even if it's just walking on the street a little bit. And I want to implement this more during the new year. I don't have daily plans in most of the cases. When I wake up, I take a look at my weekly list. Unless I have a really urgent deadline of, I don't know, sending a grant application or a performance next day, I will look at all my tasks and I will ask myself, what do I really want to do now? Because there will be things that I really don't want to do. That's why I don't force myself to do those tasks during certain days, because I know that it might be a torture if I tell myself to wake up and do exactly this and then that. Maybe I won't feel like it. Maybe I will hate my life and I want to be happy during as much time as I can. Why would I want to hate my life, right? So I look at what has to be done and then I choose the task that doesn't bother me right now, that I can really do. And sometimes I don't want to do anything. And sometimes I just realize that my apartment is a jungle and then I start cleaning. So that's why it's not a complete jungle yet. Procrastination at its best. Still productive though. Remember, it's so important to treat life as a marathon and not as a sprint. I made that mistake so many times and I was treating my life as a constant marathonish sprint, if I can say it this way, because I never gave myself any time to relax and I still have a hard time with it. Tell me if you have had the same. Let me know if I'm not alone in the boat. But it doesn't help in the long run. During that workshop I mentioned before, I learned that it's important to schedule days off, not to work on public holidays, really, and to never surpass the working time limit that you schedule for yourself. This is my sin. I always do it. I want to improve this aspect because I think it will make me a happier person. Always structure your long-term projects. Of course, it's not possible to achieve any significant results without subdividing your tasks, especially if they vary between the creative and the admin, collaborations, fundraising, networking, things like that. They all need to be subcategorized into different aspects of your work and your schedule. Always remember to feel good about your achievements. I think there is a risk of not starting something very large as a huge project. If you're organizing a performance, an exhibition, maybe a concert series, maybe a festival, or maybe you are doing a study program or a PhD program, it feels like there is so much and it's overwhelming. So until you sit down and actually break down all the categories, all the tasks into a timeline, it might seem scary to start. But please do start and do plan. I will be improving my schedule. I hope that you got inspired. Let's share our progress. Write it in the comments. What are you gonna work on this year? And what strategies you're gonna include. And also remember one thing, I have heard it not so long ago, that if you're working on more than 3 large projects, it's probably gonna be very difficult or impossible to work on more on all of them during a limited time period, let's say 1 week. It is true. I currently have 4, and I realized that during the last 2 months, I could only concentrate and work on the 3. I couldn't do the 4th one. Then I will have to reprioritize the next quarter or the next 2 months, I will see, and I will have to put one project on hold and then get back to the project that was actually sunk. And what do I have to bring back? This is it for today. I wish you lots of motivation during the new year to be more creative, inspired, and productive than ever. Of course, I wish you health and to stay safe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like the video, because there will be many more productive ideas and tips for creatives. I have a mailing list for artists and I offer free consultations on artistic organization. You can find all the links below. Hit the like button and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!